Hello, English learners. Welcome back to Talk English Now. I'm Sarah, and today we're going to talk about how to describe anything in English. Before starting, I just want to let you know that we upload daily English learning videos every day, so make sure you subscribe and keep improving your English with us. Now, let's begin. Describing something in English is one of the most powerful skills you can have as a speaker. Think about it. Whenever you talk about your day, your favorite food, the place you live, or even a memory, you're describing. It's how we share our world with others. But many learners struggle with it. They often know the words, but not how to connect them naturally. So today, I'll help you learn how to describe anything, an object, a person, a scene, or even your feelings, in a clear, fluent, and confident way. Let's start simple. Imagine I show you a cup. You might say, "This is a cup." That's a basic sentence, but what if you want to make it more descriptive? You can add details like, "This is a small white cup made of porcelain." Now your listener can see it in their mind. That's what description does. It paints pictures with words. The more detail you add, the clearer your picture becomes. But describing isn't about adding as many adjectives as possible. It's about choosing the right ones. The best descriptions help someone imagine the same thing you see or feel. For example, if I say, "It's a rainy day," that's okay. But if I say, "The rain is soft and steady, falling like a whisper on the roof," suddenly you can feel the calmness, the sound, the mood. That's how you bring English to life. So how can you practice this skill? One great way is to look around your room right now. Pick one object, maybe your phone, your chair, or your desk. Take a moment, look at it carefully, and describe it out loud in English. Start with simple things like color, size, and shape. Then go deeper. How does it feel? What do you use it for? Does it remind you of something? The more layers you add, the more natural your speaking becomes. Let's do one together. Look at your phone. You could say, "My phone is black. It's small and smooth. I use it every day to talk to my friends." That's good, but you can make it even better. Try, "My phone is small and light, with a smooth glass screen that always shows fingerprints. I use it to stay connected with my friends, and sometimes it feels like a part of me." See the difference? You went from a basic description to something that feels alive. That's what we're aiming for today. When describing, think of 3 steps, not rules, but gentle guides. First, what does it look like? Second, what does it feel like, sound like, or smell like? Third, what does it mean to you? When you include your feelings or experiences, your description becomes more personal and memorable. Let's take another example, describing a person. Suppose you're talking about your best friend. You could say, "My best friend is tall and kind." That's okay, but a bit flat. Instead, say, "My best friend is tall, with kind brown eyes and a smile that makes everyone around her feel comfortable." That paints a real person in the listener's mind. You're not just giving facts, you're creating an image. Now, one thing to remember is balance. Don't over-describe everything, or your sentences will feel heavy. A good description has rhythm, some short, some long, some factual, some emotional. Listen to how native speakers describe things in movies or podcasts. They often mix details with feelings. For example, it was a cold morning, the sky looked heavy with clouds, and the smell of coffee made the room feel warm. You can feel that, can't you? Let's pause here and practice a short speaking exercise together. I'll give you a word, and you'll try to describe it in your own words. Ready? The word is ocean. You might say, the ocean is big and blue. That's fine, but let's add depth. You can say, the ocean is endless and calm, with waves that rise and fall like breathing. Try saying your version out loud now. Don't worry about perfection. Focus on expression. Feel your words. Breathe between sentences. That's how fluency grows, slowly, naturally, confidently. Many learners think they need big, fancy words to sound fluent, but that's not true. Fluency isn't about big words, it's about clear words. The best speakers use simple words beautifully. If you can say something clearly, you're already fluent. Instead of saying utilize, say use. Instead of commence, say start. English becomes easier when you speak from the heart, not the dictionary. Let's try describing a feeling. Imagine you're happy. How can you say it differently? You could say, I feel happy. But you can also say, I feel light and full of energy today. Or, I can't stop smiling. Everything feels bright. That's how you make your English emotional, not mechanical. You're connecting language with feeling, and that's what native speakers do all the time. Here's a small tip that helps instantly. Think in pictures. When you describe something, imagine it first in your mind. Then tell what you see. Your mind is your camera, and your words are the lens. Describe what your camera captures. You'll notice your speaking becomes me, more natural and emotional without even trying. Let's take a short practice moment together. I'll guide you. Think of your favorite place, maybe a park, a cafe, or even your room. Close your eyes if you can. Picture it. What do you see? Maybe soft light, a chair, a window. What sounds do you hear? Maybe birds, traffic, or silence. What smells are in the air? Now open your eyes and try describing that place out loud. Even 1 or 2 sentences is fine. You might say, my favorite place is a small cafe near my home. It smells like fresh coffee and always feels peaceful. Beautiful, isn't it? When you speak like that, your listener can almost be there with you. When describing things, it's also helpful to use comparisons, what we call similes or metaphors. For example, her hair is as soft as silk, or the sky looked like a blanket of stars. These comparisons make your English sound poetic and natural. Don't worry if it feels strange at first. The more you practice, the more natural it will sound. Try describing your city using one comparison. You could say, my city is like a busy heart, always moving, always alive. That's a wonderful way to bring your words to life. You can also describe situations, not just objects or people. For example, if you had a busy day, you can say, today was crazy. But let's make that better. Today felt like a race from morning till night. I didn't stop running even once. That's much more vivid and natural. When you describe with emotion, listeners feel closer to you. And that's what makes communication powerful. And remember, describing things isn't only about English vocabulary, it's also about rhythm and tone. When you speak, let your voice move up and down slightly. Smile when you talk about happy things. Soften your tone when describing something calm. Your voice is part of the description too. Even without visuals, your listener can see through your voice. Now, before we move on to more practice, I want you to remember one thing. Learning to describe things takes time, but every sentence you say builds confidence. Don't aim for perfection, aim for connection. English isn't about showing how smart you are, it's about sharing what you feel. When you can describe something clearly, you connect with people deeply, and that's real fluency. Let's keep going. Now that you understand how description works, let's explore how to make your English sound more natural and alive when you describe everyday things. Remember, describing is not just about saying what something looks like. It's about helping the listener imagine it, almost as if they're right there with you. The secret is to connect your words with senses, what you see, hear, feel, taste, and smell. For example, if you describe food, don't just say, "The pizza is delicious." That's too general. Instead, try, "The pizza is hot and cheesy, with a crispy crust and the smell of melted butter." Suddenly, we can almost taste it. When you describe with sensory details, your English becomes more memorable. So the next time you eat something, notice the smell, the texture, and the temperature, and describe it in English, even just to yourself. Say, "This soup is warm and creamy," or "The bread is soft and smells fresh." This kind of practice trains your brain to think in English naturally. Here's a fun little exercise. Imagine you walk into a bakery. Close your eyes for a moment and picture it. What do you see? Maybe shelves as full of golden bread and cakes. What do you smell? Maybe sweet sugar and butter. What sounds do you hear? Maybe the soft hum of people talking and the clink of coffee cups. Now, open your eyes and describe that imaginary bakery in English. Speak slowly and enjoy the words. The more you use your senses, the richer your English will become. Now, some learners ask me, "Sarah, how can I describe things if I don't know the right words?" That's a great question. The answer is, describe using what you do know. You don't always need the perfect word. You can use simple ones and still express your meaning beautifully. Let's say you don't know the word shiny. You can say, "It looks bright like glass." That's still clear. Or if you forget the word rough, you can say, "It feels hard and not smooth." Communication is not about perfect words. It's about making your listener understand and feel what you mean. Here's something interesting. When native speakers describe something, they often start from general to specific. For example, if they're talking about a park, they might say, "It's a big park." Then they add details. There are tall trees, a small lake in the middle, and kids playing on the grass. You can use the same method. Start simple, then build layer by layer, like painting a picture with words. Let's practice together. I'll give you a few topics, and you'll describe them out loud using what you've learned so far. Ready? The first one, your morning routine. Think of what you do after waking up. You can say, "I wake up early, The air feels cool, I make coffee, and the smell fills the kitchen. Perfect. Now another one. Your neighborhood. Try something like, my neighborhood is quiet. I can hear birds in the morning and children playing in the evening. The houses are small but colorful. That's simple, yet rich. You don't need to sound fancy. You just need to sound real. Now let's talk about how to describe people's personalities. This is something you'll use often in daily life. Maybe you want to talk about your teacher, your friend, or your coworker. You can start with personality words like kind, funny, or serious. But don't stop there. Give examples. If you say, my teacher is kind, that's nice, but not enough. Instead, say, my teacher is kind. She always listens patiently when students make mistakes. That's a complete image. It shows kindness in action. You can also describe how someone makes you feel. For example, my friend is very positive. Being around her always makes me feel calm and happy. This helps your description feel more emotional and human. The best English isn't cold or robotic. It's warm and real, just like real conversations. And the more emotion you include, the more confident you'll sound when you speak. Now, let's try describing places, something you'll do often when traveling or chatting with people online. Suppose someone asks, "What's your city like?" Instead of saying, "It's nice," describe what makes it special. You could say, "My city is full of life. The streets are busy, and there's always music from the shops. At night, the lights reflect on the wet roads after rain." See how that brings a picture to mind? Even if your listener has never been there, they can feel the atmosphere. That's the magic of good description. Let's pause for a friendly reminder. If you're enjoying this lesson, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel for more daily English practice. Your support helps us create more lessons to help you grow faster in your English journey. All right, let's move on. Another trick to describe better is to use contrasts. For example, the park is peaceful during the day but noisy at night. Or, the beach is crowded in summer but empty in winter. This not only helps you describe more precisely, but it also adds rhythm to your speech. English sounds beautiful when you use contrast and rhythm together. You can also use time to describe change. For instance, if you talk about your city again, you can say, "It used to be quiet, but now it's full of traffic." Describing change makes your English sound more natural because that's how we talk in real life. We notice how things evolve. Try describing something in your life that has changed. Maybe your room, your habits, or your neighborhood. Speak about how it was before and how it is now. This will help you think in English more flexibly. Let's do a little guided practice. Imagine it's evening. You're sitting near a window. What do you see outside? Maybe the sky turning orange, the sound of cars passing by, people walking home. Describe that moment out loud. You could say, "The sky is soft and orange. The sound of cars feels distant, and a cool wind moves through the trees." Beautiful, isn't it? You just described a scene using simple words. Remember, it's not about perfection. It's about feeling the language. You might notice that when you describe, you start to use more adjectives. Words like soft, bright, cold, noisy. That's great. Adjectives give your sentences color. But you can also use verbs creatively to describe. For example, instead of saying, "The river is fast," you can say, "The river rushes quickly between the rocks." Or instead of, "The wind is strong," say, "The wind pushes the leaves in every direction." Using action words makes your English sound alive. Try it next time you practice. Replace is with something more active whenever possible. You can even describe things you can't see, like time, emotion, or atmosphere. For example, "The evening felt heavy with silence," or "The air was full of excitement." These kinds of sentences help you move from describing things to describing experiences. That's what separates a beginner from an advanced speaker, the ability to describe not just what something looks like, but what it feels like to be there. Here's another quick exercise for you. Think of your favorite memory, maybe a trip, a birthday, or a family dinner. Describe it as if you're telling it to a friend. Don't focus on grammar too much. Focus on the feeling. You could say, "Last summer I went to the beach with my friends. The sand was hot and the water was cool. We laughed until the sun went down." That's perfect English. Simple, natural, and full of life. As you describe more, your English vocabulary will grow automatically. When you can't find a word, your brain will search for new ones. That's how learning happens, through use. You don't have to memorize hundreds of adjectives. Just use the ones you know in real sentences, and new ones will stick naturally over time. Sometimes learners feel shy when describing things because they worry about mistakes. But remember, even native speakers make small mistakes all the time. What matters more is connection. If your listener understands your meaning and feels your emotion, you've already succeeded. So, describe freely and confidently. Let your words flow without fear. Mistakes are just signs that you're learning something new. You're doing great so far. Take a deep breath and smile. The more relaxed you are, the better your English sounds. Describing things in English is really just storytelling, small stories about the world around you. Every object, place, or feeling can be described as a story waiting to be told. Let's keep this conversation going. Now that you've learned how to describe what you see and feel, let's explore how to make your descriptions flow smoothly like real conversation. Because in real life, we don't speak like dictionaries. We speak like humans. Our tone changes, our pace changes, and our descriptions come alive when we connect them to real experiences. So imagine you're talking to a friend, and they ask, "What was your trip like?" You wouldn't list adjectives one by one. You'd tell a story. You might say, "It was amazing. The mountains were so tall they looked like they touched the clouds. The air was cold and fresh, and at night the stars looked brighter than I've ever seen." See? That's description in motion. It feels natural because it flows with emotion. You're painting the picture as you remember it, not as you planned it. A great way to practice this natural flow is by shadowing. You can listen to short clips or podcasts, repeat the speaker's words, and then describe the same thing in your own way. For example, if you listen to someone describing a beach, repeat after them and then add your version. Maybe they say, "The beach was crowded." You can build on that. "The beach was crowded, but the sound of the waves made it peaceful." You've added your personal touch. That's how you move from imitation to creation in English. Another technique is expand and explain. When you describe something, try to explain a little more about why or how. For example, if you say, "The weather was nice," don't stop there. Say, "The weather was nice. The sun was warm, but there was a cool breeze that made walking outside feel perfect." The extra sentence gives depth and rhythm. Try it right now with any topic. Think of something simple like your breakfast, your walk, or your morning routine. Start with one line, then add one more that explains or expands it. That's how your English grows naturally. Let's talk about the order of description. English usually follows a pattern from big to small or general to specific. So if you're describing a room, you might start with the general idea. My room is bright and cozy. Then you move to the details. There's a small desk by the window and a soft blue blanket on my bed. And finally, you can add a feeling. It's the one place where I can relax completely. When you follow this pattern, your listener stays engaged, and your speech sounds organized without feeling forced. Now here's a small secret that advanced speakers use. They mix observation with imagination. They don't only say what they see, they also describe what it feels like. For example, "The morning air felt like a quiet hug," or "The city lights looked like stars that fell to the ground." These phrases may sound poetic, but they're powerful because they show emotion. You don't have to be a poet, just a good observer. Try to notice how things around you make you feel and express that feeling in words. Let's try another little practice. Look around you right now. Choose one simple object, maybe a pen, a cup, or your bag. Take 5 seconds to really look at it. Now describe it aloud in English. Say what you see, how it feels, and what it means to you. Maybe your pen feels smooth and reliable, something you use every day. Maybe your cup reminds you of quiet mornings. You see, even small things can carry stories if you look closely enough. Every object can become a chance to practice your English. Describing emotions is another important skill. We often say, "I'm happy," or "I'm sad," but that's only the surface. Try to describe what your emotion feels like. If you're nervous, you could say, "My heart is beating fast and my hands feel warm." If you're excited, say, "I feel like I can't sit still because something amazing is about to happen." This helps you connect language to real life. You start expressing feelings instead of just naming them. When you describe emotions, you become a better storyteller and a better communicator. It helps you connect with people because everyone understands emotions. The next time someone asks, "How are you?" try giving a small, descriptive answer. Instead of just saying, "I'm fine," say, "I'm a bit tired but peaceful." It's a tiny change, but it makes your English sound more natural and meaningful. Let's go a bit deeper now. Sometimes you'll need to describe something abstract, things you can't see or touch, like time, silence, or memories. These are tricky, but they can make your English sound beautiful when done well. For example, the silence felt heavy, like the world was holding its breath, or the moment passed too quickly, like sand slipping through my fingers. These descriptions show that you understand English not just as a language, but as a feeling. That's what separates fluent speakers from learners. Emotional connection through words. You can practice this easily. Take one abstract word, like time, love, or hope, and describe it in your own words. There are no right or wrong answers. Maybe you say, time feels like a fast train, or hope is a small light that never goes out. What matters is not grammar or perfection. It's connection. The more you describe feelings and ideas, the more expressive your English becomes. Now, let's talk about pacing. How you sound when describing something. Many learners rush when they speak because they're afraid of forgetting words. But describing is like painting. You can't paint a clear picture if you rush the brush. Slow down. Give your sentences space to breathe. Take a small pause between ideas. That pause is not a mistake. It's a moment for your listener to imagine what you're describing. Fluency isn't fast talking. Fluency is relaxed, confident, and clear speech. Let's practice slowing down together. Repeat after me slowly. The morning light touches the window. The room feels calm, and the day begins quietly. Did you feel that rhythm? That's what natural English sounds like. Even when you use simple words, you can create a peaceful flow by using pauses and tone. Your voice is part of your description. It can carry emotion even when your words are simple. Here's a small trick I often tell my students. Describe one thing every day in English. Just one thing. It could be your breakfast, the weather, your pet, or your mood. It takes only a minute, but it builds a habit. You could say, the sky looks soft today, or my tea smells sweet and warm. Write it down or say it out loud. That daily habit trains your mind to think in English pictures, not translations. Slowly, you'll start describing automatically, and that's real progress. Sometimes when describing, you'll want to add feelings like surprise or humor to make your speech more engaging. You could say, the coffee was so strong it could wake a bear, or the rain was falling so hard it felt like the clouds were in a bad mood. Small bits of humor make your descriptions fun and memorable. Don't be afraid to sound playful. English isn't only a serious language, it's full of emotion, rhythm, and creativity. Using humor or exaggeration keeps your listener's attention and helps you sound more confident. Let's finish this part with a guided mini exercise. Think about something near you right now, maybe your chair. Look at it carefully. Describe it in your mind as if you're telling a friend who can't see it. How does it feel when you sit on it? Is it soft or hard? Does it make a sound? How long have you had it? What color is it? Try to describe all of this slowly in English. You might say, my chair is old but comfortable. The seat makes a tiny sound when I move, and the back feels warm in the sunlight. That's simple, honest English, and it sounds beautiful when spoken with feeling. Each time you do this, you're training your brain to speak naturally, not mechanically. You're building a bridge between your thoughts and your words. And that's what true fluency is, being able to describe your world as you experience it in real time with emotion and confidence. Let's continue our journey together. By now, you've learned how to describe things around you, how to express emotions, and how to connect your words with feelings. But now, Let's explore how to make your descriptions even more natural in conversation, the kind of English that sounds effortless, real, and full of life. When you describe something in real life, it often happens in response to a question. For example, someone might ask, "What was the movie like?" Or, "How's your new job?" Or, "What's your neighborhood like?" You don't need to answer perfectly. You just need to help the other person imagine what you're talking about. For example, if someone asks about a movie, you can say, "It was really good. The story was simple, but the acting felt real, and the music made it emotional." That's a natural, balanced description. Not too short, not too long, but full of feeling. The key is to combine facts with emotion. Facts tell what something is. Emotion tells how it feels. For example, "The beach was empty" is a fact. "The beach felt lonely" adds emotion. The beach was empty and it felt lonely, like it was waiting for someone to come back. Now, that's storytelling. See how it moves from simple to deep? That's what keeps people listening. Descriptions that include emotion and atmosphere feel more alive than plain sentences. Let's try a little reflection exercise. Think of a place that means something to you. Maybe your school, your hometown, or a park where you used to go. Describe it slowly in your mind. What do you see? What sounds are around? How do you feel when you think of that place? Now speak it aloud in English. It might sound like this. "My hometown is small but full of life. I remember the smell of food from the small shops and the way the streets looked golden at sunset. Even though I live far away now, I can still picture every corner." That's personal, emotional, and real. And that's the kind of English that connects deeply with people. You see, describing things in English isn't only a language skill, it's a mindfulness skill. When you notice details in your surroundings and emotions in yourself, your descriptions automatically become richer. You start to sound things you never noticed before. The texture of a wall, the sound of footsteps, the smell of rain. And when you speak about them in English, you practice not only vocabulary, but awareness. You start living through English, not just learning it. Let's talk about describing people's appearance in a friendly, natural way. Many learners make it sound too formal, like, "He has brown hair and blue eyes." That's fine for writing, but in conversation it's better to say something like, "He has messy brown hair that always falls into his eyes," or "She has the brightest smile. It makes everyone feel welcome." You're not just describing how someone looks, you're describing their energy. The way you talk about people shows your emotional intelligence in English. So instead of memorizing adjectives, focus on moments and impressions. Think of how that person makes you feel and express that. You can even describe people's voices or expressions. For example, "His voice is calm, like someone you trust instantly." Or, "Her laugh is loud and full of joy." These kinds of sentences make your English sound human, not mechanical. The more you describe people in this way, the more natural your speaking rhythm will become. And when you add feelings, listeners can visualize your words as if they were watching a movie in their minds. Let's do a short imagination exercise together. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine someone you admire, maybe a teacher, a friend, or a family member. Think of one detail about them that you like, their eyes, their voice, or even the way they walk. Now describe that detail aloud in English. You might say, "My mother's voice is soft and comforting, especially when I'm tired," or "My friend always laughs with her whole face. It's impossible not to smile when she does." This is real English, full of emotion and meaning. You're not just describing, you're sharing part of your world. Now, let's shift a bit. Many learners ask how to describe experiences. For example, how to talk about a trip, an event, or even a normal day. The trick is to think like a storyteller. Every description has a beginning, middle, and end. You can start with a feeling. It was an exciting day. Then add what happened. We woke up early, caught the train, and explored the old city. Then end with your impression. By the time we got home, we were tired, but full of good memories. This structure makes your English sound smooth and easy to follow. Sometimes you can even describe something by what it's not. For example, "It wasn't the biggest meal I've had, but it was definitely the most delicious." Or, "It wasn't a perfect day, but it was peaceful." These kinds of sentences sound natural because real life is rarely perfect. Native speakers use this style all the time, describing through contrast and imperfection. It helps your English sound authentic and emotionally balanced. Now let's talk about using small, descriptive phrases in daily conversation. You can make ordinary talk sound more natural just by adding a few descriptive touches. For example, instead of saying, "I had coffee," say, "I had a hot cup of coffee this morning. It woke me up right away." Or instead of, "I took the bus," say, "I took the crowded bus to work. Everyone looked sleepy." See how that adds color? You're not just reporting events, you're inviting your listener into your experience. That's what keeps conversation alive. Here's a small challenge for you. Try adding one descriptive sentence to your daily conversations in English. When someone asks, "How was your day?" don't just say, "Good." Add one small detail. Maybe, "It was good. The weather was cool, and the sunset looked beautiful." These tiny descriptions make your speech more interesting and natural, and they show your listener that you're confident with the language. Now, let's talk about rhythm again. When you describe things, don't forget to use your voice like a musical instrument. English has melody. When you describe something beautiful, let your tone rise gently. When you describe something calm, slow your voice down. Try saying this softly. "The morning felt quiet, and the world seemed to move slower." Hear that softness? That's how emotions sound through voice. Even if you don't have visuals, your tone helps listeners see through sound. A good exercise is to record yourself describing something, then listen back. Ask yourself, does it sound flat or alive? Are you pausing naturally? Are you using emotion in your voice? Don't worry if it's not perfect. The goal isn't to sound like a native speaker. The goal is to sound like yourself, confident, relaxed, expressive. That's what real communication is about. When you hear yourself improving, you'll feel proud, and that motivation keeps you practicing. Let's imagine one more practice scene together. Picture yourself standing on a hill during sunset. The air is cool and the sky is full of colors: orange, pink, and gold. Birds are flying home and you can hear soft wind through the grass. Now describe that moment out loud in English. Maybe say, "The sky is glowing with colors. The air smells fresh and the world feels peaceful." That's perfect. You've just used description to share a feeling, not just an image. That's the kind of English that makes people listen and feel. And remember, the power of describing lies in the details. The more you notice small things, the more expressive you become. Every time you describe something, you practice awareness, emotion, and creativity all at once. You don't need to use complicated grammar or advanced vocabulary. Simple words used with care can create magic. Like saying, "The tea was warm," instead of, "The tea had a nice temperature." One sounds human, the other sounds like a manual. Always choose the one that sounds alive. You're doing amazing so far. We've explored how to describe things, people, and feelings, and how to make your English sound emotional and natural. Now let's go even deeper into how to describe experiences, stories, and memories in a way that makes your listener feel like they're right there with you, because that's the real goal. Not just to speak, but to make others feel something when they listen to you. Think about how you tell a story in your own language. You don't think about grammar or structure. You just remember what happened and talk about it with emotion. That's exactly how you should approach describing in English. Forget about perfection for a moment. Just focus on what you want to share. For example, if you want to describe your last vacation, start with the feeling. You might say, "It was one of the most relaxing weeks of my life." Then tell what you saw, heard, and felt. The sea was calm, the food was delicious, and every evening the sky turned golden. Finally, add your reflection. "I wish I could go back there again." That's it. You've just created a vivid, emotional description using simple words. Many learners make the mistake of starting descriptions with too many facts and not enough feeling. They say things like, "I went to Paris," "I visited the Eiffel Tower," "I ate croissants." Those are good details, but they sound mechanical. Add emotion, and suddenly it becomes real. I went to Paris, and standing under the Eiffel Tower felt magical. The smell of fresh croissants made every morning perfect. Now your listener is with you in that memory. You see, describing well is not about how many words you know. It's about how much attention you give to the experience itself. Let's do a quick activity. Think about a simple day, maybe yesterday. Close your eyes and recall what you did from morning to night. Now, describe it to yourself as if you're telling a friend. Don't just say what you did. Describe how it felt. For example, "I woke up late, but the sunlight made my room feel warm. I made coffee and the smell made me smile. I felt lazy but peaceful." This kind of mindful description helps you practice fluency naturally because you're connecting emotion with language. You can also describe future situations. Let's say you're planning something. Try describing it before it happens. For instance, "Next weekend I'm going to visit my grandparents. Their house always smells like fresh bread and the garden is full of flowers." You see how that sounds warm and alive? Even though it hasn't happened yet, you're painting a picture. This kind of practice helps you think creatively in English and prepares you to talk fluently about any situation, past, present, or future. Now let's talk about describing opinions or preferences. Sometimes learners struggle when they want to express their taste or choices. For example, instead of saying, "I like movies," try, "I like movies that make me think and feel something." Or instead of, "I don't like spicy food," say, "Spicy food makes my mouth burn and I can't enjoy the flavor." These small details make your English sound more interesting and personal. When you describe why you like or dislike something, you help your listener understand you as a person, and that's what makes conversation engaging. Another tip for strong descriptions is to include action. Describing doesn't always mean static things. Guess da can and include movement too. For example, instead of saying "the child is happy," you can say "the child is jumping and laughing in the sunlight." You added action and suddenly it feels alive. Descriptions with verbs are more dynamic. So next time, try combining adjectives and verbs. The leaves are dancing in the wind, the water sparkles in the sun, or the city wakes up slowly in the morning. These kinds of sentences bring your English to life, like scenes in a movie. Let's take a short break for you to try it right now. Describe something that's moving, maybe the weather, your pet, or even traffic outside. Say it out loud. You could say, "The rain is falling softly on the window," or "My cat is sleeping with her paws curled under her chin." Even if you're alone, saying it out loud helps your brain connect sound and meaning, improving both your speaking and thinking speed in English. Here's another practice idea I love: describing something from two different perspectives. For example, describe your morning from your point of view and then imagine you're someone else observing you. You could say, "I woke up feeling lazy," and then switch. If someone saw me, they would think I was relaxed and calm. This helps you play with language and emotion. It's a creative way to practice flexibility with your English. And it makes describing fun rather than repetitive. Let's talk about how to describe moods and atmospheres, because these are often the hardest for learners. A mood is not something you can touch or see, but you can feel it. For example, if you walk into a quiet library, you can say, "The atmosphere is calm and serious." If you go to a party, you might say, "The energy is loud and exciting." And if you're walking in a forest, "The air feels fresh and everything sounds peaceful." Describing moods helps your listener feel the environment, not just understand it. You can use words like calm, tense, joyful, quiet, or busy, and then expand them with sensory details. "The calm air felt cool on my face," or "the busy street was full of voices and light." This turns flat sentences into vivid English. When you describe feelings, it also helps to connect them with your body. For example, instead of saying, "I'm nervous," say, "My hands are cold and my heart is beating fast." Instead of, "I'm tired," say, "My eyes feel heavy and I can't stop yawning." This helps you sound natural and helps you feel what you're saying, which improves memory and confidence when speaking English. You're not memorizing phrases, you're living them. You might be wondering how to improve your vocabulary for describing. The best way is not by memorizing long lists of adjectives. Instead, learn words in context. When you learn a new word, use it immediately to describe something real. For example, if you learn smooth, go touch something and say, "This table feels smooth." If you learn bright, look around and say, "The sunlight is bright today." This way, you don't just remember the word, you connect it to your senses and experience. That's how vocabulary sticks for life. Now let's do one more little exercise together. Close your eyes again and imagine your favorite time of day, maybe morning, afternoon, or night. Think of the light, the sounds, and the feelings in that moment. Now describe it aloud. You could say, I love mornings because the light is soft and the air feels new. Or, I love nights because everything is quiet and calm. Simple, right? Yet so powerful. This kind of description not only improves your English, but also helps you relax and be more present with your words. Every time you describe something, you're not just practicing English. You're learning to notice beauty in small moments. You're slowing down, observing, and expressing your world through a new language. That's an incredible skill to have. And the best part? You can practice anywhere, anytime, even while cooking, walking, or just daydreaming. Describe what you see, smell, or feel in English. The world becomes your classroom. Before we move to our final part, take a deep breath and appreciate how far you've come. You're not just learning grammar or vocabulary, you're learning to express your world beautifully through English. That's something truly worth celebrating. Now we've reached the final part of this lesson, and I want you to relax, take a deep breath, and enjoy this last stretch together. You've done so well so far, and now it's time to connect everything you've learned about describing things in English, from objects and emotions to experiences and ideas, and turn it into something you can use in real-life conversations every single day. So let's imagine a simple situation. You're sitting with a new friend, and they ask you, "What's your favorite memory?" Instead of panicking or thinking too hard, you smile, take a moment, and say something like, "My favorite memory is a day at the beach with my family. The sun was warm, the wind was gentle, and I remember laughing until my cheeks hurt. The smell of the ocean and the sound of the waves still make me smile when I think about it." That's a complete, emotional answer. You didn't just give information. You shared a feeling, a picture, and a part of yourself. That's how real English connection happens. When you describe like this, you make your English meaningful. And meaning makes memory stronger. You're not just remembering words, you're connecting them to life. The moment you stop translating and start feeling what you say, your English becomes part of you. That's how fluency truly grows, not from memorizing rules, but from living in the language, describing it as you go. Let's do a little real-life simulation together. Pretend I ask you, "What's your morning like?" You can start simple. "My morning is quiet." Then add small details. "I make tea and I listen to the birds outside." Then expand with emotion. "The sound of the birds makes me feel calm and ready for the day." You've just described your morning like a fluent speaker. Because fluency isn't speed, it's connection. It's about using language to share what's inside you, not to impress others. That's the heart of learning English. If you ever feel stuck or unsure, remember this small secret. Describe using your senses. What do you see? What do you hear? What do you smell or feel? That question set can help you describe anything, even if you forget the perfect word. Let's try it together. Imagine a cup of coffee. What do you see? Maybe dark liquid and rising steam. What do you smell? Maybe roasted beans and sweetness. What do you feel? Maybe warmth in your hands. Now say it. "The coffee is hot and smells rich and strong." "The steam touches my face and it feels comforting." See how naturally it flows. That's descriptive English. Simple, yet powerful. Another wonderful trick is storytelling. Every time you describe, try to imagine that you're telling a short story, not just giving information. For example, instead of saying, "It's raining," you can say, "Rain is tapping gently on my window, and I feel cozy inside." When you describe like this, you hold your listener's attention because your words move like a story, with rhythm and emotion. Try to tell one short story every day. It could be about something you saw, something you felt, or even something funny that happened. Each story is a small step toward fluency. Sometimes people worry that their descriptions sound too simple or too short, but remember, simple is beautiful. You don't need complicated phrases to sound fluent. Native speakers use short emotional language all the time. They say, "It feels nice," "That sounds great," "It smells amazing," "It looks wonderful." These are small, simple patterns you can reuse everywhere. So don't aim for complexity. Aim for clarity and confidence. The simpler your English, the stronger your message. Let's practice something spontaneous. Look around right now. Maybe you see your room, a window, or something on your desk. Describe it in one flowing sentence without stopping to translate. Just speak. You could say, "The sunlight is falling across my desk and it makes everything look peaceful." That's all you need. When you start speaking without fear, your brain starts trusting you. It realizes you can speak English without thinking word by word. That's the moment when you start sounding natural and fluent. You can also make describing part of your daily reflection. At the end of the day, before you sleep, think in English for a few moments. Describe one thing that stood out. You might say, "Today I saw an old man feeding birds in the park. The way he smiled made me feel peaceful." Or, "The evening sky looked like fire, orange, pink, and gold." Doing this daily builds your creative fluency because you're using real emotions, not textbook phrases. You're training your brain to see and feel in English, not just think in it. Now let's try something slightly creative. Imagine you have to describe something invisible, like hope or dreams. You could say, "Hope feels like sunlight after rain," or "Dreams are like stars, sometimes far away, but always shining." These poetic forms of description don't just sound beautiful, they also strengthen your ability to express emotions naturally. Even if you're not a poet, your English becomes more expressive when you try things like this. You start playing with the language, and that's how you truly make it yours. Let's take a small speaking moment together. I'll say a sentence and you'll repeat it after me in your own words. Ready? "The world looks calm this morning." Now say it differently. Maybe, "Everything feels peaceful this morning," or "The day began quietly." Excellent. That's flexibility, that's fluency. You're learning to describe the same idea in different ways, and that's what native-like communication is all about. The ability to say one thought in many natural ways. Before we close, let's reflect for a moment. Describing things in English is not just about speaking beautifully, it's about being present. When you describe the world, you pay attention to it. You start noticing colors, sounds, smells, and emotions that you might normally ignore. English becomes more than a language. It becomes a lens through which you see life. You begin to live more fully in both your language and your experiences. That's something very special. If you've reached this point, I want to thank you for staying with me through this lesson. I'm really proud of you. You've learned how to describe with clarity, with feeling, and with rhythm. You've practiced seeing the world through English eyes. And remember, every time you describe something, you're not just practicing. You're communicating, connecting, and creating. Your English doesn't have to be perfect to be beautiful. It just has to be yours. So, keep practicing. Describe the little things. Your breakfast, your mood, the weather, a memory, a smell. Each small description builds your confidence like tiny steps leading you higher. You'll soon notice that English starts flowing more easily, and your thoughts begin to form in English naturally. That's the magic of daily practice. Slow, steady, real progress. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. I hope you feel more confident and inspired to describe anything in English, from a cup of tea to your biggest dream. You already have the tools inside you. You just need to use them with patience and curiosity. Keep practicing, keep noticing, and keep enjoying the beauty of English. This is Sarah, your English coach from Talk English Now, wishing you joy and progress on your journey. You're doing great, and I'm cheering for you always. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the bell icon so you don't miss future lessons. Thank you for learning with me, and I'll see you in the next one.